Wow. Okay. Great, great. Good to see you guys. Yeah, switch on your cameras. You ready? Yeah, we'll just wait for other people to join. And in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask, okay? Um, keep the conversation going while we wait for everybody to join us. Hey, Josh. Yeah, welcome. Um, and hey, Josh, did you have enough people turn up at the tutorial session?
Yeah, only one person showed up yesterday.
Wow. Okay. Well, I know there are, a bunch of people are having problems because, you're talking about it on the Reddit and all. But this is a fantastic opportunity. If well, maybe you don't know what you're missing, you should just go to one of these sessions. Go to one of these sessions with a concept question, and then with Josh, you can, if in fact if it's in a library conference room, you can even whiteboard it. But on Zoom, maybe you can do exactly what we do in class. You can just live code something um, around that concept, and it will be absolutely fantastic. Okay, uh, so I think this is a great opportunity. And thank you, Josh, for scheduling these things. Well, I hope you'll keep going, doing that, even if people don't show up. But it is a great resource they're missing. I'll keep reminding them all the time. Caitlin, yeah, welcome. Um, yeah, and obviously you can just reach out to Caitlin or Josh, or even me, to just schedule a live coding one-on-one. Okay, it'll be recorded and shared with the other students too for their benefit. But if you have a concept um, that you're finding hard to understand, and then you would like to work through a problem that elucidates that concept, right? So we can do what we do in class, except it'll be during an office hour, a one-on-one, and then we'll record it, and then it'll be on our channel, so other students can also benefit from it. So we can absolutely do that. And it doesn't have to be a live coding session with me. It could be with Josh. It could be with Caitlin. It could in fact be with anyone else. Any other one of your classmates. But I think that if it's me or Caitlin or Josh, maybe we'll record it for the other students also. But not everybody is, will be able to do that. All right. Okay. And by the way, today, Fred is coming. I keep forgetting. Okay. Fred is going to be here, I think 7:30. He sent me an email saying he's going to be here for sure. 7:30 at that link. So I think what we'll do is around 7:15 or so, we'll end this meeting and you can click on the other link that I shared, that link that Fred is supposed to show up at. And then we'll continue the rest of the lecture on that link, just in case Fred shows up early, and you can just join that meeting, But, any conversation we are having, we can just transition into that other Zoom link. Does it make sense? Is that okay with everybody? Yeah? Okay, great, great. Okay, I'm all excited because this today we'll start actually coding stuff, um, which really is departure from all the theory that we've been doing with data representation. So I'm thinking what we'll do is I'll just pick one of you, and of course, initially it'll be okay. I think up to about week 4, it'll be okay. The pace will be okay, right? And after that, it kind of catches up, especially when you do linked lists and all. You'll find that you're out of time. It's better to, it's not that it's going to be take a very long time, but it's going to take a certain bit of time, but you got to just budget for it. That's all. Meaning that if you target linked data structures, encountering them in week 9, okay, then you have 3 whole weeks to play around with linked data structures. That'll give you a pretty good intuition of how the quest number 9 works, and you'll be able to breeze through it too. But what happens usually, statistically, I mean, of the people who've been doing these things, people don't start pointers and quests 9 until about week 10 or so, right? And then that is also the time when all the other classes have their finals and everything is just piling up at the end of the quarter, and then they just get stressed out. And then the thing that requires the most amount of time and attention in C++, which is pointers and linked lists for data structures, right? That happens to get the least amount of attention, right? So that is why just if you can go through with the quests, I think, you know, by the end of today, or even by the end of Thursday, today is Tuesday, right? By the end of Thursday, even though you know, we'll be doing similar things in class, meaning we're just going to be all the material up to question number 9, question number what was it, 4, question 4, looping. Yeah, all the material up to question number 4 we're going to be doing starting today for another 3 or 4 weeks. So which means that you could potentially be, you know, start questing and be done with the first 4 quests ahead of time too. That doesn't mean you get freebie time after that. So keep going on. You know, if you finish all 9 quests, then you can take, you know, time off to do other things, but just keep going. When you're on a roll, just try and finish all of them. I think that would be my recommendation to avoid getting stressed out at the last minute. That's all. Yeah, other than that, you'll actually have great fun, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Great. Okay, so how about here today? This is what I'm thinking. We'll try and play around with some simple things. Okay. How about we write a very simple program today that will ask for a for your name, and then it will compute calculate a magic number based on your name and give it to you. Okay, and that is your lucky number. I don't know, this is some random stuff that we're doing here, but I think it'll be fun. Okay, I think it works. I hope it works. Okay. Anyway, that's all. Okay. So in this little thing that we're going to do, we're going to write a little program. You can, you know, imagine if you know other languages, you know how you are already thinking about how you would do that, right? You're going to ask, what is your name? You get the name. And the way I'm thinking will generate this magic number is sum up all the ASCII values of the letter in the name. Okay. Just add up all the ASCII values and then find the average ASCII value per letter. Okay. And then use that to, you know, and use that to come up with some, you know, 5-digit number or something like that. Okay. And that we'll just print it out. The main idea being that, you know, someone types in the same name 2 times, they should get the same number. Okay. Otherwise, we can just say random because there is a way to call rand or generate a random number in these programs. And I think we'll be doing a lot of that. Okay. I think in, I don't know, maybe around week 4, well, I think we'll play some. We'll start implementing some games. We'll implement some games, and in the games, we'll have to generate random numbers. So, so yeah, random means we want different outcomes each time. But in this case, we'll do it. So we'll implement it so that every a person's name will always generate the same number. Okay, and I think that encapsulates a bunch of things that we can iterate upon again and again and again from now until week 4. So here's the thing. And this is, you know, I think it works much better. And the reason I think it works better is because many students coming here already have a fair idea of what programming is. Even if they're not experts in any particular language, it doesn't matter because everybody's had some exposure to programming. They know there's a branching statement, there's looping and all those things. Yes? Okay, so, you know, and you know, these, you know, strangely enough, you don't have those in HTML and CSS, right? But yeah, is there? Yeah, okay, but branching and looping, everybody's familiar with. So previously, when I used to teach this a long time ago, in fact, that's what the syllabus has too. Right, so in the first 2 weeks, don't even talk about looping and so on. We talk about, you know, expressions and calculate these things. And historically, I know the first few quests I tried to make, I tried to fit into that framework, and that is why, you know, even the first 4 quests are kind of ugly compared to the remaining quests, which much easier, cleaner interface. But historically, that is the reason. Okay, and it may be the case in other sections you're doing too. Other sections of 1A, 2A, or 3A and so on and so forth, because they may be following that thing. Yeah. Yeah, I know this is this. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll get to it at some point. That's all I had to say. And now I'm thinking that the best way to approach this was one of you is going to take the screen, okay, and then maybe after 5 minutes you just tag someone and someone else shares, and then hop on. I will dictate the code, and sometimes I'll just put comments there saying to do, and then I'm going to leave it. I'll complete the rest of it and then say, all right, I'm going to leave it in your hands. And then I'll turn the laptop around, so I'm not even in your face. So you guys have to implement that. And we'll end it at 7:15, by the way. Okay, 7:15. I think I have a reminder. Yeah, 7:15. We'll hop onto the other Zoom and do it there. But that's all we have to do. All right. So we're going to ask for your name, and from your name, you're going to calculate a magic number and print it. It'll use the skills, the following skills. If you know them already in other languages, you can bring them to bear, right? So we're going to use input and output, because we're going to ask, what is your name? And then read it in. Okay, so we're going to do that. And then we're also going to do arithmetic calculations. And we're going to use our knowledge of data representation, because every letter has actually got an ASCII value. And so we're going to say, all right, well, here's how we calculate this number. Okay, so we're going to do some arithmetic manipulation there. What else? Okay, and then we'll do some looping, right? We'll do some looping also. I think that's all. Maybe are we doing branching? Well, we'll kind of figure out, okay? Those are the 4 concepts, really, that are supposed to occupy us for the first 4 weeks. We have the luxury of just playing around with just those 4. Well, along with arrays. Arrays meaning that, a chunk of memory that's got many things packed, one after another without any gaps, all the same size. That's basically an array. That's all we have, okay? Yeah, all kinds of looping, branching with arrays. And then the basic control structures. This 4 weeks, okay? So that's 1 month. We have 1 month starting from today to just play with these things. And using just these Lego pieces that we have been given, as it were. Yeah, we're gonna see. All right, this is all we have. What is the most fun we can do with just what we have? Okay. All right, so we've been given these 10 things. Well, just 10, right? Some limited number of things. Okay, we can do branching, looping, input, output, and so on, arrays. And each of these can do a certain kind of thing, like in chess. Okay, with this can do certain things, that can do certain things, and so on and so forth. And essentially, and we have 1 month to figure out, okay, all right, okay, now what are the different kinds of dances I can do with all of these moves that I know? Can I put them in this sequence and I get something interesting out of it, and so on and so forth. And that's what we're going to noodle on. And in the process of doing that, I think what will happen is that we'll get a very good intuition of where and how these patterns get used in general. It doesn't matter if it's C++ or Python and any language. This is systematic thinking, essentially, because if you think about a process that is actually iterative, takes time and has to do a certain number of repetitions, this is basically the calculus involved in there. And we say, all right, so we've been putting things together. I can solve this problem, but it has to be done in a particular sequence. How do I figure out what the sequence is? Okay. And if I just think about it systematically, I can get to it. All right. Get nearer and nearer to the solution. Right. And so that is the iterative way of thinking about it. Or what it does essentially is the iterative way of thinking about things adds one more really, really powerful tool to the tool chest that you already have to deal with problems. Yes. So, we have lots and lots of ways in which we approach problems. Some of them are analytical, some of them are, and so on and so forth. But there are some problems which can actually be solved iteratively, but seem like they can be, they're impossible to solve otherwise. And using very unintuitive algorithms too, right? Saying, hey, boy, you can follow these steps, but it's never going to work. But it actually does work because I can prove it. So those kinds of, strokes of genius ways of doing these things, which actually make you, pause and wonder for a second. Wow, that is so beautiful, and ultimately that is really what, that is really what we learn anything for, essentially. Is basically to sit back and appreciate the beauty of all of these things coming together. That is why, programming is an art. Lots of people call it an art. You will actually start to feel it too, I think, after being exposed. and it's the same with anything, even with whether I think it's music or whatever it is. Initially, it seems like tedium and pain because you're doing the same things over and over again, because you need to practice these moves in isolation just to get them right in the first place. But that is like getting the words right, learning to pronounce the words or write the words in English. But writing an individual word like that is not, it's not so pleasurable. But we keep doing that again and again and again. We get each individual word right, and then we can say, all right, now that I got these right, I can learn to string them together. And that's where the real, you start sharing meaning and pleasure and all those things. Same thing with programming too, right? So we just say, we just do one step at a time, and we just get these out of the way, meaning that, lots of people out there, if you also confuse programming with the tedium of loops and things like that. No, it's just a way of thinking and solving problems. And yeah, well, yeah, we should be wasting time talking about those things again. I'm glad I caught myself. Okay, that's 17 minutes, and especially since Fred is going to be here soon. All right, how about this, Matthias? Since you are leftmost, topmost in my screen, are you? Hang on, before you, is this the layout that everybody has? Because I don't know if I actually have the that Zoom option checked to say this is the host order is the same for everybody. Right, Matthias, are you top left for everybody? All right, how about Mark, is Matthias the top left for you?
No, you're top left.
Yeah, okay, so it's different. All right, we're just going to go with what I see. Okay, and sometimes it keeps shifting around. So I'm in fact, Matthias is going to call the next person. Okay, after 5 minutes, I say, all right, let's give someone else a chance, and Matthias will have to say, hey, this is a URL, pick up someone. He's going to call someone at random, and he's just going to hand over, relay the baton to them, and they'll take over. Okay, so all right, Matthias, just share your screen and enter a private browser. Okay, before you share your screen, make sure it's a private browser. And the reason I say that is because you don't want your social security number to be auto-completed and it's recorded and all. So make sure.
You just want me to open Google Docs or something like that?
No, just browser, and then we want to go to onlinegdb.com. Okay, this is a site that we have used for at least 3 quarters now. It seems to work. Before that, we used another site. I think it was a Replete and many other sites. We've used other sites. They all slowly became paid sites, and it wasn't really, it was a pain. But this one actually has been free, and it's okay quite a while. And we know that it actually works with something that we wanted to do, which is, like positioning a cursor on screen. The old-fashioned way. It actually seemed to work with online GDB too. That is really cool. Hey, Caitlin said something, I think. Something flashed on my screen.
No, I just gave the link to online GDB.
Oh, hey, thank you, Caitlin. Okay, yeah. So you just have to click on that thing that Caitlin, shared, and then when you've got that, share your screen. And what we'll do is we'll start off with a comment. We'll put it on top. And by the way, when you start, filling in, under the comments and you fill it in. Well, today maybe today I'll do most of the talking through, but eventually we're going to be doing the same thing over and over again. That's why it's going to be like super important that you attend all of these classes, not just today, right? All classes, attend them. It's going to be recorded too. You have to watch it, and you shouldn't watch it passively, by the way. Okay, when you watch these videos, don't watch it passively. What you should do is watch the video and don't watch it at twice the speed and all. Right? It is very tempting. I can watch it at twice the speed because I just want to make sure that it's we've done all the right things. But certainly, if I was a student, I would not watch it at twice double speed or anything like that. You should play it regularly and then be able to pause it and do whatever it is in your own browser window. Does everybody understand that, right? Even if it's recorded, and even in class, okay? Even in class, maybe we're, let's say Matthias and I are just typing away, and maybe he's going to call all of a sudden. Maybe he says, so Sophia, you want to take over? Okay. That means not only does everybody has to be on their toes to keep on in step with the program. So Matthias shouldn't be the only one feeling stress. Okay, so everybody should be on their toes, saying, "Hey, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm going to be next." Okay, especially if you can have your camera off and all, a prime candidate to be picked next to. All right, so yeah, so everybody's got to be on their toes, and essentially typing on their own, right? Essentially, whatever is going on in class, they should be doing on their own. Now, you'll be totally surprised. Lots of students have told me this. Oh, I don't know, why is this all not in, public knowledge out there, or published in some, maybe it's in a blog or somewhere. Some student, teacher has made an observation, nobody really picked up on it. But if you, oh gee, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Well, maybe it'll come to me again, right? We'll come back to this. Right, now clear the entire screen inside, go inside the window, clear that blue, get rid of the blue part by clicking on that less than sign. Yeah. Thank you. Now also,
Which version? Because like C++, C++
C++,
14.
yeah, it doesn't actually matter because, we're just doing basic C++ here.
Cool.
So hey, Matthias, can you hit? It's a Mac or a PC? It's a PC.
It's a
Can
PC.
you hit Control plus? Is it working? Yeah. No, yeah. I think
Yeah.
yeah, that's okay. It's okay. Okay. Maybe it's too big for you guys. Okay, because I only have half the screen, and I've got, maybe I can even fit more of you. One sec. No, I think that's okay. All right. The last three people who haven't got their cameras on. Well, I got everybody now. Okay. All right. So I got everybody and I can read the font, but if it's too big for you, let me know, because I need to switch my glasses and then we can go back to, more a font that is more comfortable to you guys. All right. Okay. Now get rid of everything. And in that black part, just say Control A and then hit delete. I think this is how we're going to start every class from now on, right? No, we're not working in Notepad and hexadecimal and so on and so forth anymore, right? We're actually doing coding and a head start in coding essentially, because we're diving into concepts which may actually be advanced a little bit. So which means that it is very likely that people who are coming fresh into this could feel overwhelmed. Okay, and say, oh my gosh, I didn't expect that much. Now that is fantastic, because I'm telling you that's going to happen already. So that means that if you didn't feel it, you can feel a little bit of a relief. But if you did feel it, you can say, all right, okay, I was warned anyway. So you have 4 weeks to get used to it, which means you're going to keep hitting that again and again. The next time it will not feel so bad. It'll feel actually slightly better. The third time, it'll actually feel good. And the fourth time and onwards, you'll actually start looking forward to it too. So we just have to keep doing that again and again. We have 4 weeks for that. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? Everybody should be coding the same thing as, Matthias and I are coding at some point. Matthias might say, all of a sudden, right? Maybe not Jin, because Jin coded the last class. Maybe, Lan or Sophia or Ava, right? You might, hey, Ava, did you code last class? I think you, typed something up, right? Yes, last class. Yeah, okay. So maybe not Ava. Yeah, when you tag someone, Matthias, to go after you, just try and pick someone who you don't remember has gone recently, like, Ava or Jin. Yeah. Because when we cover everybody, then we can go back to the people who and get second chances. But I want everybody to have a chance. I want every single person in this class to have a chance to come up on screen. Right? It's it's like learning to act, and everybody has to go up on stage and do something, right? And even in fact, I've actually encouraged students, because this is week number 2. And you may actually be deciding, well, should I do this class? This is too much work. And maybe I have got 5 10 classes. 5 10 classes is a waste of your time, everybody's time, really. You might actually go away and party, right? You don't do 5 classes, because each one has so much material that it's worthy of just doing on its own. So if you want to stretch it, maybe do 2 or 3 STEM classes, because each of these you want to get deep into, because if that is your area. What about the other 2? You still have to do those units, right? So do acting, because in our acting classes, you have the entire quarter, spend the entire quarter doing improv. Okay, you get situations and you have to be up there and and with in front of all the people, all your classmates, everybody. Maybe the theater has people sitting there too, and you have to do improv. And in the beginning, I know exactly how it feels, because that's how I guess 2A students feel when they have to go in front of everybody and start coding. But after the first few times, it doesn't feel so awful, right? You kind of start looking forward to it, and you start jumping the line so that you can get more chances to do the improv. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, because you just have to get over that in order to see the value. And so that's what we're going to do. We'll just keep doing this again and again until these concepts don't seem so overwhelming to you anymore. Okay, so you can expect it to feel overwhelming today even, okay? If it is, you should always feel free to ask me or Josh or Caitlin for a private one-on-one, okay? We'll walk you through a problem. We'll pick a problem which I think will, even Caitlin or Josh, if you arrange a one-on-one Zoom or something like with that with them, before that you can arrange by email saying, well, let's try and settle on a problem that would be nice for us to live code, okay? And then you would live code it and the other person would watch it. Hopefully, if possible, please record it, okay? If it's, a Zoom, record it. I think Zoom has that option to record it and share that video with the rest of the class. You give it to me. I think, at least twice a week, I log into that other account to post all the videos. I'll share it with the rest of the class. And then it's hugely valuable, because, these are things that can actually be, stitched together. Maybe if, you guys are teaching each other how to do certain things on Zoom and it's all up there, maybe with 15, maybe 100 videos of Zara or Brandon teaching someone else in class or particular different concepts in CS, an AI system could essentially put together a virtual Zara, virtual Brandon, that maybe their kids or grandkids to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go to grandpa's class and learn something from them, okay? Because that gives enough of an information, overview of the way in which that person teaches things, okay? So I think it's all fun to do anyway. So you should all take great make great use of opportunities like this. All right, don't let it slip by. And that is the reason we're going to nominate people at random this quarter, okay? And again, Caitlin and Josh, and me too. As time progresses, I'm going to draw back and not say as much as possible, not speak as much as possible. Most of my talking, I hope, is confined to the first few lectures. After that, you guys should be driving as much as possible. But however, if you're stuck, one of us will basically just jump in. And also, if there's nothing on in the airwaves, someone has to be talking, at least asking question, giving an answer, or just singing a song. Doesn't matter, okay? At least there's something in the airwaves, so that we know that this is not empty. The screen is not empty. Okay, great. What time is it? 6:30. Okay, yeah, we have about 45 minutes. Hey, plenty of time to do this. Okay, so let's start with a comment. A comment. C++. Now, I won't be going into the details of, oh, this is a comment, this is how we do a comment, it's got a line, these things, you should, the reason for that is very common. Lots of people use this in other languages. And if you do find something perplexing, you can always ask, right? And say, hey, maybe Sarah could say, hey, what is that double / I don't know, right? And as Matthias is typing, that's fine. Yeah, okay, and then we'll say, hey, yeah, all right, that's what it means. Unless someone asks, we're not going to go into the details. How's that? Is that a good idea? Yeah, because that means that we can just keep going, except that we will, have an ear out for someone who says, hey, stop, I don't understand that. And then at that time we'll stop, and then one of us will jump in and explain. Is that okay as a strategy? That will allow us to move through the thing while making sure that everybody's on the same page. Yes or no? Well, nobody's even answering. Okay, well, you give me thumbs up. All right, okay. All right, so I get a few thumbs up. All right, okay, thanks. Thank you. All right, okay. All right, so let's start a comment up there and say class code for today's date. Today, I think, is 16th April. Okay, class code for 16th April. So everybody who codes, make sure that, not make sure really, just try to keep this template in mind. So every day or every class, someone who starts coding, and it's a fresh project, not someone else's. Sometimes we get an old project and we have to hack a bit more from the previous person. But otherwise, if you're starting a fresh one, do something like this. So that it is so someone, and also try to comment the code in some places, not overly, so that people who read the code can follow through with what we're doing in class, rather than have to watch the video, right? because yeah, you should just be able to watch the code and then understand what the hell is going on. Okay, so and one more comment again, and say in this program, we are going to ask the user for their name. In fact, let's enumerate these. Put them one at one. Yeah, we are going to, and then go to the next line and say one dot. Yeah, we are going to. Yeah, and then one dot. Ask the user for a name, for their name. Right. Number two, read in their name. Great. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I like that attention to detail, just to make sure that the space two instead of two dot, no space two, because, that is a kind of aesthetics that will actually be valuable in programming in general. Because one of the things I have noticed is that, funnily enough, okay, and this is an observation, is that many bugs are a result of many bugs manifest as unaesthetic features of programs. Now, the thing is, what I mean by unaesthetic is that if you look at it in a particular, structural way, you see the flaw. But then if you don't have an eye for these things, meaning that, it kind of needles you, and you don't fix these little things as you go, it's harder to spot bugs. It's harder to spot things that are off. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking off the top of my head here. Okay, read in their name. All right, now calculate a special number based on their name. Calculate a special number based on their name, and say, hello, name, your special number is this number. Okay, all right, so that's all. It's just got to do these 4 steps. Very simple, easy program. And I think it's like a half-hour job, really. Okay, but maybe it's not a half-hour job. It's longer for
What was
the
number 4
very
again?
first time.
What was the number 4 again?
Oh, say, hello, hello, Matthias, your special number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You were,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, all right, great. Now, this is what we're going to do. This is the basic structure of a C++ program. We use this all the time, repeatedly. Again, this is part of the template. So that everybody is going to use. Essentially, start off with the first line. After this, go into the just say hash include IO stream. So we're going to use a bunch of these things here that may not make immediate sense in day one. Okay, but over time we'll talk about these things. Maybe in a couple of lectures, someone will say, hey, what is IO stream? And maybe you've already had a discussion about IO stream on Reddit. Maybe this is actually an opportunity for someone or multiple people in this class to do a Google search or something about what is this hash include IO stream in every C++ program, right? And they write a post, and it's part of your reflection or other things that you do on the Reddit too. But after those things, we also may have a chance to talk about that in class. So that's what I would prefer, is to talk about most of these concepts after you've had a chance to digest the material on your own. I think that way it works better, rather than saying, oh, well, if I say this is what it is, then it doesn't stick as much, I think. Whereas if one of your classmates says, hey, you know what, I was very curious and I found out this is what it is, much higher statistical odds that most students will actually understand. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, but we'll go into the detail. If someone asks what is it, I'll go into the detail for sure. Right. And the next thing you want to say is hash in, no, the next thing you want to say is using space, namespace, using, no, you put another blank line there actually. It's just, blank line, and say using space, namespace. No, actually, it's not namespace. The hardest thing ever to dictate in CS2A is this line, for the first class. Yeah. Namespace, and then space, right? Using namespace space. Oh no, just a space, right? Standard STD. Okay. Semicolon. Yeah. All right. So can you move your mouse? Is that your mouse after the? Yeah. Thank you. All right. So now these things here. What is this thing using namespace standard? We'll absolutely get a chance to talk more and more and more about these things in future classes. Today you can just accept that and say, hey, well, it's something that it does something that's important, but that's not my focus today, because what I'm after is basically throw all these things in which allow this thing to do the job, the main part of the program to do the job, right? Slowly we'll understand, well, that's why main is able to do this. That's why main is, right? So we'll understand all those peripheral details. So I don't believe that, if we spend time talking about, oh, this is the bits and bolts of a C++ program and all the, details, it'll be as dry as a biscuit, really. And it'll suck the joy out of being able to do some cool things with this. Okay, so the next thing you want to write is int space. Yeah, main. Thank you, Matthias. Okay, all right, great. And now put a space before the curly brace. Put a space before the curly brace. Now this is the part. So everybody has to do this every time. Anytime you write a program, even if you're doing it this program for yourself, or in a future class you do something else that is similar to what Matthias is doing now. This bit is going to be the same. You start off with a comment and then describe what we're going to do. Because you also share the URL. So, maybe a future student or maybe one of your classmates says, I'm going to click on that link that Ava or Matthias shared. Okay, so they'll be able to go to that code. So in this code, you'll have all of it. They'll be able to run it. They'll be able to, change it and see the effect. These were, we're even before the age of AI, we've had so many revolutionary facilities for learning to program. Well, even the last many years, really, that I think has totally not been taken advantage of in many classes. Other than the theoretical ones, it's different. But here, you write a program, someone else can fork it and make some changes and see the effect immediately, right? Those are the things. Those things are far more instructive, I think, than even static videos. Let me watch a video of someone else solving this problem. It works sometimes, but it's not like doing it like this. Yeah. All right. So, oh yeah, we need one more line. That is also part of the template that everybody's going to do. Put a blank line there, a blank line, and then say return space 0. Return space 0. Yeah. All right. Okay. Now the first thing you're going to do is put a comment there. Put a comment there. To do. Yeah, yeah, and say capital to do. Thank you. Right, TODO. No, actually, is that a lowercase o or a big O or a lowercase o? No. Say TODO, all uppercase. The reason I say that is because in my faint memory, most IDEs, maybe not online GDB, most VS Code and all these other fancy IDEs automatically pick up on the word to do in your code. And so if you write a program with lots of to-dos there, the compiler, the IDE will automatically go through all of your code, even hundreds of thousands of lines of code, and say, well, you have an open to do in, file number 65, right? And it'll show you what needs to get done. So it is basically a convention, and we can just get used to it right now. So anytime you have something that you want to come back to, you can flag it by saying / to do. Yeah. All right. Okay. So to do and say prompt the user for their name. Okay. Prompt the user for their name. Prompt the user for their name. Now I'm not going to walk through the code to do that. So maybe Caitlin or Josh would walk through the code for that. Okay. So enter one more time. Enter one more time. Yeah. One more. Say to do again. To do. And then say ask the user. Oh, read in the name. Yeah, read in the name on the same line as the prompt. Read in the name and on the same line as the prompt. That's important. You've got to figure out how to do that. Right now, yeah. Again, another to do after that. Yeah, to do. What else? Yeah. All right. Now, calculate the average ASCII value of their name. All right. How do you do this? It's straightforward. It involves a loop. Josh or Caitlin can walk you through this, or I will walk you through this. What you're going to do is, you have a name. Let's say, Matthias, and it's made up of Mathias. Each letter is 1 byte, 8 bits, and that byte has an ASCII value. It's in the, in data representation in module 0. You read through that. Basically, M has an ASCII value. I don't know. M was what? 10 plus JKLM, 13, right? 65 plus 13, so 78. I don't know. M has a value of 78. Binary value 78 is the same as letter M, ASCII. So what we're going to do is basically add up all the ASCII letters, ASCII values, N plus A plus T plus H plus I plus A plus S, divide by the length of Matthias's name, right? Mathias, 7. So what does it give us? It gives us the average ASCII value per letter. Yeah. And what we'll do is when we get that value, we'll try and work that value. Well, let's get that value first. Okay. Let's get that value first. All right. So calculate the average ASCII value. And we'll use that as a special number for now. Right. And the next line, on the next line is to do. Yeah. Print. Say hello, name, your special number is, and the calculated value. That's all. Okay. It's actually very simple and straightforward. And there's going to be a loop in the third part. And you guys can do this. Okay. I'm just going to hand over to you guys. Now, ideally, Matthias can either type this, or he can just tag someone else and say, well, you know what? I'm going to hand over to either Manya or Yiyang. Mark. Hey, Mark, you didn't change your, oh, you couldn't change it on Zoom, you said.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how it works.
Okay.
Because the Zoom link seems to be different from my Zoom account.
I see. Anyway, never mind. Okay. So you're gonna so Matthias might say, Mark, yeah, so you're gonna code. And then essentially you're going to do all of this, take over and code it. And yeah. When he does that, what was I thinking? Yeah. All right. Whoever is typing does not have to be the person who is also thinking, right? So the person who's got the shared screen and typing is only typing. Okay. So you don't have to feel stressed. So nobody can ever screw up when they're typing. Okay. So that is the most important thing that everybody has to keep in mind. The person who's typing is basically off the hook. Everybody else is on the hook. So everybody else has the responsibility to call out what that person should be typing. Ideally, at least one person. Okay. And maybe you can have disagreements and say, do something else. But the person who's typing is off the hook.
If someone else continues, then how are they going to do that if the code is on someone else's computer?
That's what I say. Everybody is basically got, so two ways to do this. Okay. Good question, Richard. So you've got to have your own version also. You'll be working on the same thing at the same time, so that you can take over. Number 2 is that if you absolutely don't have one, or your version is diverged and you've done some experimental stuff there, which is not worth sharing, you can actually ask the previous person to say, click that orange button. Hey, can you click that orange button, Matthias? Right, that link there, that share URL. Yeah, okay. Hey, I got to take off for a second. Okay, so basically that's what it is. I hope that answers your question. I'll be back in like a few minutes, okay? Caitlin or Josh should be able to help once.
I guess if we want to get started, you can go to line 14 and then I guess type in Let's see, both these are for their name. Well, I know we're gonna need some kind of like STD or actually we could probably just put C in and then
I guess
after
if sorry. I guess
Okay.
before that, should we store it in the string variable?
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Also, the name, like I don't know if it's the first name and last name, because that'll be 2 words.
I think you might
Probably
just
just
want us to
first
do the
name.
first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would we be storing that in a string? If so, we might have to include that.
Yeah. I get oh yeah.
Maybe start with the variable.
Mm,
I think when you use using namespace std, you don't have to put that anymore. You can omit it, but I'm not sure.
Since we already have the namespace, you can delete std and then the 2 colons right before string name.
And then we can do the C out that Brandon was talking about, or the C out to prompt. Yeah. Less than, less than. We can do a less than, and L at the end of that just to format it better so that it does it on a new line.
And semicolon.
oh yeah, semicolon. Ah, oops. The heck is this? Here we go. Ooh. I hit a bad button. Give me a second. Where did it go? Give me a second to fix this. I'm just gonna do that just so I don't share anything I don't not supposed to. Oh, my bad. It's the wrong domain. Okay, got rid of a little bit, but it's only a little bit. This one. Second screen. Okay, so I can't see my cursor. Can somebody else do this? I think I did something bad. I broke it.
Yeah, I can go ahead and share mine.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Okay. Everybody see that?
So we could use the comma operator after the slash and before the semicolon to do the CN.
Let's see it. Okay.
And then, yeah, and then the name, the variable. Is the next thing to calculate? You guys know how to do that?
Oh yeah. Um, actually not too sure. I guess how to get the ASCII value of like the letters. I was kind of thinking, I was originally thinking of like a hash map kind of thing for this, but I think probably the ASCII value is a lot simpler.
Feel like, I don't know. Should we make it into a separate function or should it just be within the main function?
Oh, yeah, we could do that. I was wondering if maybe, do we need to like, I guess, store the letters of the name into like an array
I
of some
think-
sort?
I think we could just iterate, I think we could just iterate through the name, and then I think you do int as a function, it gives you like something. I just search it. Let's see if that works.
Like, just type in here or,
Oh, it goes through, so do a for loop,
oh, okay.
and then int I equals 0, and parentheses, yeah. Semicolon, and then int, oh, sorry, I less than name.length, parentheses,
Sorry, you said name?
name.length, yeah.
Oh, length.
And then, yeah.
Oh,
I
you need a
plus.
bracket.
In C++, it's name dot size.
I tried length and it worked. Maybe that works too.
Why
Both.
not just do a for each loop?
That could work too. Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with this
Yeah.
one yet.
Do a wrong bracket. Do a shift 90.
Okay. And then like that.
And then I plus plus 1 plus plus. That's good.
Should we store the value because we're gonna get the average, right? So we could store the sum and then divide it by the length.
So I'd probably want to do like a int total, maybe.
Would it be an int?
I mean, yeah, it could be an int. Also, I'm not sure if this is different in Java, but I'm pretty sure you might have to give it a value like 0 first or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
So I know that
that's
sometimes
because you
causes
can,
issues in Java.
so you can like
If you add, yeah, it's better to have 0. But if you're gonna
Okay.
assign it, I think you could just leave it like that.
Do
With
we
us,
use
for this
the-
thing, we're going to be adding values, so we need to
Yeah.
initialize it.
yeah, so it'll be plus equal.
I'm sorry, it'll be what?
No, no,
Equals
equal
0.
0, just
Oh,
initialize.
just equal 0, okay.
And then do you just convert each character using the int function or how does that work?
Okay, so you could just do like total plus equals to int and parenthesis,
Oh,
int
int,
parenthesis,
okay.
and then name
Of the
add
name.
I. Name square brackets,
Okay.
square
Square.
brackets,
Oh, square. My bad.
and then I inside,
Okay.
and then semicolons. I think that might work.
And then I guess we can just try to print that really quick.
Line 16,
Oh,
there's a comma. I don't think
This
that'll
one?
work. Yeah. And then to a semicolon and put the CN on the next line.
Okay.
And also, chars in C++ are just kind of fancy ints.
Well, I'm sorry, say that again.
Like the characters, like typical chars, it's just an int. So you don't really have to convert it if you don't want to. You could just done total plus equals name at I.
Like for when we're initializing the total, or
No, what I'm saying is like the name at I, it's already an int, so you don't really have to convert it if you don't want to.
oh, okay, so you're saying you would just plus equals the name I.
Yeah, just remove the int. I guess that worked too.
It'll work either way. Just whatever you want.
Interesting. Okay.
Can you concatenate stuff by doing the double less than signs?
Yeah.
Oh,
By the way, I just checked, the comma does work. The comma, if, because
oh,
it said in the
Also,
to-do, it says read the
or
name of the
like-
same line as the
Right.
prompt.
I was pretty sure the comma operator was like a thing.
Yeah, it is.
okay, interesting. So do we
Well, I
even,
think what it means when it says read the name on the same line as the prompt, that means there's no new line after the prompt.
oh,
So
so,
the new line on
quick
line
look.
16. Make it a space.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little bit out of order in terms of that, but I guess we can try that.
Oh, we did the total instead of,
Oh, yeah,
The average,
Sorry.
yeah.
yeah.
okay, so. At the total.
Would the average be a double? Or is it still an int? Or does it matter?
Does C++ just auto
It
truncate
depends
it?
how precise you want to be.
C++ does not automatically change types. I
Right.
think like only Python and maybe a couple other languages do that.
So I guess probably just make
Josh
it
is
double.
saying it depends how precise you want to be. So there are more decimal places you're saying for a double.
I don't know, like the special number, do we want it to be an int or double? Because
Not
it's
an int
double,
because that's a whole number. You want it to be a double or like maybe a float.
yeah, probably a float, but yeah.
Okay.
You may just initialize it, the total divided by name.length, or no?
Like saying just already do it here, okay. I guess is, would this work? Not sure, I guess if that's actually getting the average of it.
So like, isn't the character just the CHAL data type, it just stored as int, right? Stored as ASCII int. If I think that's what happens, right?
It's a int that gets interpreted as ASCII, or sometimes UTF-8 or 16 or whatever.
I see.
So Josh, how do we do the C out C in on the same line?
Just the comma.
Would it be the comma? Because I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
if
no, I tried it and
it's
it worked.
iteration.
Could you
Okay.
use pluses or Can you
Pretty good.
concatenate strings with pluses?
Concatenate string, oh.
Yes, you can, but
so like
when you're
the-
just printing out, it's easier to just use the arrows.
Right.
So you need to do a C out for each one of those.
Would the pluses give us problems with different
Well, you can cast it
variable
to a string.
types?
Wait, can you not? I don't know if you can cast it to a string, but you can convert it to a string via one way or another.
Right. But I just meant in general, if it was a float at the end and we did a plus.
Also, when you use the arrows, it automatically adds spaces in between everything that you see out.
That might cause an issue with the comma.
Oh, or was there like a specific spot, I guess, that it's changing?
Isn't this done? Isn't this it? This looks like it.
Is 106 correct?
I have no idea.
Try like A or something. It should print whatever the ASCII of A is.
Oh, I see, okay.
Or just do 1A.
Then maybe test 2 ways to see if that matches.
Uh,
Looks good to me.
I think it should be 65. I searched it up, it says like A would be
Wait,
65.
hold on,
I
you're
got
right. It does sound
97
right.
for A.
I think it's because capital A is 65 and lowercase a is 97.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
Oh
Alright,
yeah, yeah.
let's try
I'm pretty
that.
sure they have different values. with
Does
their capital.
AB return 67 or 67 and a half?
Oh, nice.
97.
AB lowercase or
Okay,
uppercase?
Well, it doesn't
are
matter. Just
are
like
you guys
one and
done?
then the
Are
next
you
one
guys
up
done?
is 0.5.
Great.
Yes,
If you guys are done, I'll review the program, and I'll also explain it step by step now to people who don't understand it. With the next person who is going to code exactly the same thing from scratch without looking at anything. Okay, the only thing you're allowed to carry over is a comment at the top, right? The very top. And then anybody can volunteer. The next person to do it has got to do exactly the same thing. But don't look at notes even. You should only be looking at the comments at the top and trying to remember. If you don't remember, someone else will basically say, hey, you know what? This is what you got to type. So, and hopefully that should be done in like 5 minutes now. Because you know you already have an idea of what needs to get done, but when you're doing it yourself, you probably get stuck. And so others will basically help you out. But I also want to jump in at some point and start explaining what each of these things do. Now, the question I think is whether I should explain them right now as we do it, or whether we should get used to doing it first and say, well, you know, these are the pieces, they all work in these places. And after you're comfortable with just throwing the pieces together and seeing it work, then we dive into, all right, so that's what that statement does. That's what this does, okay? And chances are, you guys probably already know some of these things, how some of these things work, like the for statement and so on. If you don't know how the for loop works, for example, we'll be doing a lot more practice of that. And keep in mind, the for statement is something that we typically introduce in week number 4. We're only in week 2. So we're already using it, which means you have a whole 3 weeks to get used to it. But this is just a taste. This is something similar to what we're going to be doing again and again for 4 weeks, starting from now, with one more feature, with arrays, okay? And maybe functions. Slowly start creeping in. And so we're going to be doing this again and again. So I would like it very much if you could all remember, right? Maybe some of you all who are already familiar with programming and you've done this before may not feel it as much, but the ones who are just coming in, and feeling overwhelmed or saying, well, this is, I actually don't understand any of this at all, you have to try very hard to somehow document this feeling, okay? Either in a Reddit post or even in your personal journal, because chances are very, very high from everything, everyone I've spoken to so far, that by week 4 or 5, you will be not only forget that feeling, but it will be totally foreign to you. You won't even be able to relate to it unless you have actually documented that in painstaking detail. So, and I think the Reddit reflections actually help a great deal, because people can actually go back and look at these reflections and say, well, I didn't actually know this, and I was struggling with it, and I don't even remember the struggle, but now I read this and I know. And so this is the part that I think is critically missing, is reflection in most of the classes out there. They just, most of the classes out there just focused on feeding you more and more information, bam, 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 like that. And there's a test, and and the grading criteria are kind of weird too. And obviously, our class is a little harder, I think. You speak to other classmates too, you'll find many of them actually avoid this track of 2A, 2B, 2C because they think it's harder than the average class, which is kind of true, because I kind of emphasize a different kind of skill, understanding something, a concept to the core and trying to implement it rather than just book knowledge of saying, well, this is what happens. This is what you can get from an AI system even today. So that is why people who've done let's say 1A, 3A, some other language, maybe in a different college, and say, well, I've done this supposedly very challenging course and I've got an A, all of these things, but here I'm struggling, so something is wrong. You should also consider that the same complaint should be levied or placed at go back to the old classes that gave you A's for not displaying real knowledge and tell them, I gave you $500 or whatever it is, but I didn't get my money's worth. I didn't really learn anything. But here I find out all the gaps that my money didn't buy me. Yeah, so that should be the attitude. I think that will be the attitude going forward, because people are not going to learn any of these to make money in the future. Because think about it, we're never ever going to, humans are never going to be able to catch up with the accuracy and the quality of the code that's being generated by automata, right? So anything you learn now is basically for the pleasure of learning it, right? So learning to write poetry. There's so many poets that have written poetry already, so many sculptors done these things, but we still learn it as an art form, because it just is intrinsically fulfilling. And that is the reason why we will continue to learn programming. I actually made that point even in the syllabus too, because I was actually very surprised. The first time I actually asked, someone suggested to me, I had something to, I was trying to get a student intern to write a program for me, and someone suggested to use this. And I was totally blown away, because when I was doing my PhD a long time ago, one of my classmates was trying to do exactly the same thing a long time ago. They're trying to do this is called programming by demonstration, and he was, adamant, saying this is very, very long time. And I totally didn't believe him at that time, saying, if I give this program enough examples of my Pascal program, eventually it'll be able to write a Pascal program by itself. And he was trying to, but the approach he was using, I don't know, it is not like the modern approach, but he was confident that it would actually work. It's programming by demonstration. I think that was the name of the field in those days. But I was like totally surprised, because that is exactly what Craig was talking about those days, and my program came out beautifully without having to use an intern. So I think that in the future, if this is what we're getting now, I think it'll be very near future, and before we can get high quality code. So the only reason you need to learn any of these is just for personal enrichment. So if at the end of this class, at the end of every lecture, you should feel like 2 cents richer. Okay, not in terms of the certificate you're going to get, but you basically every lecture, because you paid money, and the money you paid is not for the certificate. That is going to be worthless. You can burn it, right? But the money you paid is for the knowledge, and you can test for yourself whether you're getting knowledge or not, right? Because with a certificate, you can tell whether it's valuable or not. You get the certificate and go to an employer, and they'll tell you whether the certificate is worth it or not, right? But with knowledge, you can be sure, right? You don't have to wait for someone else to tell you whether you got your money's worth. Okay, so at the end of every class, you can reflect and say, well, you know what, did I learn? Am I better off after the hour of listening to Anand's spiel, right, than before? Am I better off not attending this class? And so you can reflect on these things. And the reason I think that reflection part is missing in all the other classes, many classes, I don't know, it's so super critical. And that's why I enforced reflection in the syllabus, is because It is the most powerful tool available to students, and most students don't use it. Okay, pass this message on to all of your students, right? All of your classmates. In fact, next quarter, maybe I'll sponsor a research project for how reflection helps learning. Okay, maybe one of you can do your research symposium. Like this quarter, a bunch of my students, Caitlin is doing one, right, with the Grady project. But reflection actually improves grades and does a lot of amazing. And the reason, this is the hypothesis which you can test. You can test this. You can perform experiments to test this. Is that by reflecting, a student gets to calibrate their ability, right? Or where they are able to say, well, I didn't know this. It took me so much effort and 3 days. Okay. And nobody can be a better judge than yourself of exactly how much effort and time it took. If you don't reflect, you never know the calibration. And so people, give you you come across a new problem, you're confounded, you're perplexed, you go into a panic because you don't know. You don't know how to calibrate. All your meters are spinning wild. Yeah. So you have to start with small problems first. And keep reflecting and to say, well, it took me so much time to solve that, life issue or whatever it is. So keep doing this again and again every day. Set some time to think about the problems you've solved. And then it calibrates, I think, your self-assessment ability incredibly. And that is why the students who go on to do higher, harder classes in, machine learning graduate level classes, you get many of them, the problems you get on day one, they seem mind-boggling, really. Okay, but if you break them out step by step and say, all right, this is 2 years worth of work, and this is what the bits I'm going to focus on, and each bit may look totally impossible, but you just stick with it for a certain amount of time, solutions emerge, and you just chain all these solutions together, you get a some path, maybe not the most efficient one. And that is really how most of the research happens. But the reason I brought that up is because people who don't calibrate themselves well before they face a challenge, such as a graduate study problem or life challenges, even, right? If you haven't calibrated yourself by reflecting and saying, I solved all these hardships in life, when you face a new thing, you'll be confounded like a teenager and say, well, this is the end of my life. I might as well go ahead and commit suicide because I don't know how I'm going to solve this. It's going to take infinite time. Whereas if you actually solve lots and lots of little problems consciously and reflecting at the end of the day, saying, well, I got through this, you'll have a very good idea. Well, that is basically going to screw up my next 5 weeks of time, but it's not ruined me completely. I can get back to after 5 weeks, I'm back. But 5 weeks is not, child's play. It's a pain, but you'll be able to calibrate that. You'll say it's not the end of my life. And that is the problem I find that lots of students face in other classes when they drop class or do, they're not able to calibrate these things. You see a hard assignment problem, I'm never going to get this. And then when you make the decision, I'm not going to be able to do this on my own, that is when I have seen students just get solutions from Discord, okay, secretly from their friends, or they get ChatGPT and say, well, you know what, I need to implement this data structure. Give me the, all of the code with the comments. Okay, I gotta, let's all right. So next person, let's get onto the Fred Hoffman link, and in that link, someone else has got to do exactly the same thing. All right, so let's get on the other link, and someone should do exactly the same thing. Hopefully not with Josh or me or Caitlin talking. One other person in your group has got to talk through this. Mattia has named someone, and they're going to pick up the screen as soon as we get onto the other link.
I wasn't coding last. It was Brandon because my thing broke.
Name someone.
How about Jonas Ling?
Jonas, are you here? Where are you? I don't see him. Jonas. Yeah, Jonas, you can take the screen, right? Not here. All right, so everybody's going to hop off this call. Get on the other link. Does everybody have the link that I shared for Fred Hoffman? Yeah, thumbs up if you do.
Is it on Canvas?
It's in the announcements for sure in Canvas.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's also on the Reddit. I think it's on the Reddit. Oh no, it's only on Canvas because it's okay. So hop on that link, and when you get on that link, Jonas, you're going to share your screen, and then you're going to code exactly the same thing. Okay. Meanwhile, Matthias, just go to your code and get the comment part from the top and paste it in chat so that he can grab that and put it in his own code, and then go from there. Yeah.
Okay. I can't find the link. I'm looking in the announcements and I don't see
You just
it.
sent it in the chat.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, cool.
Yeah, all right. So I'm gonna hop off this call. It's probably not, it's gonna stop recording too at this point, I think, right? And then I'll see you on the other link. See you guys soon.